We're in New York, baby.
Hey.
Right here. And to be specific, Brooklyn. Brooklyn in the house. What's poppin'?
That matters.
What's poppin'? Hey.
Brooklyn snob for life.
This is episode 37?
38.
Oh, man, we're moving up. Moving up in the numbers. Episode 38. And we are continuing our Haitian success. And we're sitting across, and Gigi's sitting beside a successful Haitian who is just doing things. With that said, Gigi, take it away. Do the introduction.
My name is Gigi, for those who don't know, but I am sitting next to an amazing woman. Honestly, I admire you. You are a chef, a culinary ambassador, an entrepreneur, a restaurant owner, an author, a speaker, a social activist, an educator, and just recently named an exclusive caterer for the New York Times. I'm here with no other than Nadege Fleurimond.
Round of applause. Wow. Big team. Big shots. Big
team. Is that really me? And I'm like, I guess.
No, it's you. It's you. Let me tell you. So I have seen you on my For You for TikTok, right? You have shown up on my Instagram feed. But it's Mark who sent me your page, your IG page, and was like, is this Haitian success? I'm like, absolutely. You know when you Google someone and like that first page, you have like literally post after post after post after post. So thank you so much for being with us today.
No, thank you so much for the invitation. I was so honored. I was like, oh, Haitian success, me, and I'll take it.
New la. Good.
All right, so we just want to get to know you more. Obviously, the internet, you have made your mark, but maybe let's dive a little deeper, like get another side of Nadege.
We can do that.
All right, so how would you like to kick it off? Like, how do you introduce yourself to people?
Oh my God, I hate it. I was like, what do I say? I'm always like, my name is Nadege. I'm from Brooklyn, and I stop right there because I never know what to say.
Nadege.
I hate speaking about myself.
Nadege, ma stop podcast là, on so good, oui. Hey, listen. This is breaking. I don't know why I didn't see this. Maybe because I was setting up. But my Wadzi, if Shelby was a person, this on me. Listen. If you not tuned into our YouTube at some point, you don't get to see the videos. This is the one. You have to check out the video on this one. If Shelby was a person, this shirt is...
It would be whoever's wearing the shirt, baby, because we are Haitian.
We need to get a shirt.
Shelby is in our blood. You know that.
Yeah, we need to get a shirt, though. Before we leave the concrete jungle, we need to get a shirt.
Yes, we do need a shirt.
If Shelby was a podcast, never mind.
Funny enough, this shirt line, I started it during the pandemic. I mean... If there is one thing I would say in introducing myself, is like, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Like, it's in me. I didn't know. I think it's in a lot of us as Haitian people, because people like to use the word resilient. I think we're innovative more so than resiliency. I think we are always creating, formulating. So I teach entrepreneurship to youth, one of my 27 jobs. So I have a curriculum that I do in the junior high schools and high schools. And oftentimes people will be like, what's entrepreneurship? And they're like, a person who starts a business with the hope of, making a profit. I'm like, no, an entrepreneur is simply a problem solver. Anybody can be an entrepreneur to the extent that you see problems around you and you come up with creative and innovative ways to solve them. And then during the pandemic, when we all thought we were going to die, we're at home. I started really reconnecting with food. I'm sure we'll be talking about food at some point.
Yes.
But one of the things is I started going live, right? I always had this idea. I called myself the professional hiphop for the last 10 years, because people would be like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm a professional hiphop. They're like, why do you say that? But the reason is because to me, growing up, if you're Haitian, your parents have called you an hiphop at some point.
Yes.
And usually it's not in a good way, right? It's usually like you're that person. It's like, where are you going? You're such an hiphop. Because an hiphop is that person that does something that seems mundane, at least to your parents or whoever's saying it, but then to you, it has relevance.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what entrepreneurship has always represented, right? Because I'd be in the gym in the middle of the day and people be like, what do you do? But in the middle of the day, you're having lunch and chilling. Like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a professional hiphop. So to me, the term became kind of like synonymous with freedom.
Oh, wow.
And creating your own path and doing things your own way. And then other people started adapting to it. So I used the pandemic as a way to launch it because I was going live constantly on Facebook. So I dropped my professional hip-hop line. And then I started adding just Shelby. If Shelby was a person, Mama hip-hop, all kinds of hip-hop. And that's another business. I have an e-commerce store.
Look at that.
Amazing.
Yo, keep it going. We love that. Because what it is you're inspiring somebody who's listening right now who didn't even think they could do multiple things. Some people just think they're streamlined and just doing one thing. So listening to that just will allow them to create more things for themselves.
And that's an interesting point. I do consider myself a multi-passionate entrepreneur, but I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 19 years now. Like, I graduated college in 2003. I am a woman of a certain age. Don't let the baby face fool you. But when I graduated, true Haitian person.
Wait. Can you tell the listeners where you graduated from? Because she's being very humble right now.
Right.
So let's backtrack a little bit. So being a true, nice immigrant young person, I went to college. The aim was to be an attorney. So I studied political science at Columbia University. Which is why till this day, Papa's like, mes amis, voyons nous go Ivy League. Let nous décider faire machan manger. And if you're Haitian, you know what that word means. It's not just like you sell food, you're a cook. No, so machin manger. That's like, the visual is this. You're like on the side of the road. So bisatne.
Not bisatne.
Ou bien, sous boulevard Jean-Jacques Dessalines in Haiti,
Oh my goodness.
And then you're selling food because it was not a good thing.
Yeah.
So when I graduated, like, I started catering purely accidentally. Again, problem solving, right? I was on a predominantly white campus. And it was at a time when Haitian pride had started coming because we had white clef. But that's mainly what we had, right? It wasn't kind of like now with social media, like, yo, like right now on my page, the Haitians are going hard over which island makes the best food. Like, we didn't have that, right? This is pre-Facebook. What we had was like a little Haitian student association. So one year we needed to sell food and the person who was supposed to do the food couldn't do it. And I was like, I can do it, I guess. And then like, you can't? Like, because, there's like 5 other Haitian students on campus.
Who taught you to cook?
I learned to cook from my dad. My dad is a phenomenal. Nous connaissons les garçons qu'on fait manger.
Moi, li montre qu'on manger, puis la brûle l'eau machin manger. Mes amis. Got backwards.
Well, the other thing we know about Haitian parents, they're hypocrites. Like, my dad actually loves to cook. Like, that's my dad's love language for real. Li bon bâton, the next day, je nous belle siri, légumes, du riz blanc. Like, that's the meal, and that's still my favorite meal to this day, because I got a lot of bâtons.
That's good right there.
So, but so I learned to cook from him. It was the 2 of us, single dad. So as soon as he showed me how to cook, he stopped. Then that became his little thing, like whenever he would play busy, go Domino's with his friends, he's like, oh, my daughter, and I'm 8 years old and I'm in the kitchen making like jus, sauce pois, everything.
Yes.
And my dad is such a good cook, like les frères quand ils mangeaient, so it's like the food had to taste good. So from a very early age, I was like, okay, fais manger à bon, or la parler dans like even like a few years back, and that's when I stopped cooking for him, because he's like, I bought him a poisson. All my friends are like, this is so good, Nadege, you need to cook more. I was like, yeah, my dad's getting older. I wanted to make him a meal. I brought it to him. Li goûte, l'on pas gen temps pour faire manger. Pas faire manger pour moi. And you don't have time to cook. That's his way of saying, like, he doesn't feel enough care. Et puis s'entrer dans boisson. I don't know. But my friends were like, no, don't listen to him. It's good. Because then when I would cook, they would eat.
Right.
So I started cooking from him. Get to college now, predominantly white campus. And I think I always tell people, even though I grew up in Brooklyn, I think I became Haitian in college. You know, I was born in Haiti, left at 7. Most of my elementary, junior high, high school was here. But when I got to college, I was like, oh my God, these people are very different from what I knew.
Wow.
Like I grew up, I went to Brooklyn Tech here in Brooklyn, which is a good school, diverse, but at Columbia was very different. These are people that went to boarding schools, all kinds of experiences. So I felt really like, oh wow, I'm really homesick. So I started cooking again as a way to comfort, just like it happened in the pandemic. It was kind of like, let me comfort myself with the meals that I know, the things that makes me feel happy. And then when that incident happened, when we had to cook for campus, because we decided we were going to cook as a way to fundraise for our club, for the Haitian Student Club. But then what I also started realizing, I was like, you know, it could be a good way to educate people about Haiti.
Okay.
Because at the time, whenever you turn on the news, the only thing, even now, right? Poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. That just kept circulating. So I was like, oh, if I could show people how good our food is. So we made our little money. But then what started happening as people bought the food and ate the food, they started to be like, oh my God, we have something similar in Bangladesh. Oh my God, we have something similar where I'm from.
So it was a connector.
It was a connector. And I was like, oh my God, I like this conversation. I'm talking about 2003. Think about it. What Haitian chef or person you knew in 2003?
Right.
So I didn't know any, you know? I didn't know anybody. So I was like, I just knew I love food. And once food was introduced to the conversation, people listen. Now I think everybody has realized that, you know, but it's a cheat code I realized like 20 years ago. Like this is 2002, actually. I graduated in 2003. So I started cooking. And then, but whenever people would come to events, and I'd cook, people were like, who's this new caterer? The food is bomb. And I knew mainly how to cook Haitian food at that point.
Yeah.
Like, so I started doing my little research, inserting other cuisines, but it was mainly foundation.
So you have not gone to culinary school?
No.
Wow.
And you know, the Haitian chefs don't like that because at the end of the day, I think people think like you have to study something, perhaps. But I always tell people, real experience comes on the field.
Yep.
I know there's value in going to culinary school based on the path you wanted to go, right? I've always known, I didn't want to be a chef. You know, that's why more than anything, I don't even call myself chef because like I said, I know people who go to culinary school are very sensitive about the subject.
Because after college, you worked for the New York City Council.
Yeah, because after college, I was like, well, going back, as I'm cooking on campus, people are loving the food. They're asking who's the caterer. My friends are like, oh, Nadege, she's a caterer. I'm like, I'm a caterer? What is that? So I'm learning that I'm a caterer.
Yeah.
So, but the one thing I've always, and I'm still am, is I'm committed to learning. I'm committed to growth. I'm committed to being excellent at whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I reach, but I'm committed to heading there. So I started researching I got a book like Catering for Dummies. Like I got all of these things. Because administrators would start asking me to cater things. They're like, oh, you know, that's the one thing too about being on the campus that I was. It was a very supportive network. So
That's
your network too, they always say your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Indeed,
So that's another
indeed.
thing from my friends out there that want to grow and develop something is who do you surround yourself around?
That's true.
Like the football team, my initial servers. But every
Really?
time, they look good. So every time like I would cater something, people kept asking me for more. But I had to keep learning because I didn't know everything. So then I never thought, still it's not a job, it's a hustle at this point because I'm a good Haitian child who's supposed to be going to law school. So I graduated in 2003, a whole year I've been catering as a side hustle. And then I go to the Small Business Administration and I tell this woman, like, I need advice. I have this little business that's making me money. And I mean, I'm posting on Craigslist and I'm making like,
This episode's for the millennials, for real. You just take Craigslist.
yes, I posted on Craigslist, and then I remember I catered a private dinner for 4 in Wall Street, and the man was like, you know, I posted, you know, Haitian chef, this is the meal, da-da-da, and he was like, oh my God, I have 4 friends coming. I remember I made him poisson grossel, like a red snapper. And then at the end of the dinner, they were like, oh my God, this is phenomenal food. it was such an adventure. I was like, adventure? Because they had never had fish with head before. So I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Fish
So
with
kunya
head.
petit, c'est
Okay.
snapper filet, But all of that learning came on the job because I didn't know, like, most Moon Bloods didn't
Just
eat red snapper. Like, that's how I knew it.
That's true.
So I kept learning. So asked this SBA for advice. The woman was like, well, you study political science. The business is nice and cute. I still know her till this day. But she thinks I say this in a bad way, but it's the best piece of advice she gave me because she was like, get a job. I was like, what? But I have a business. She's like, no, get a job. Cater on the weekends. And I felt like she was crushing my dreams, but I listened to authority, so I got a job. So she's like, since you study political science and you're gonna go to law school, go check out some of your elected officials. So I reached out, applied to a couple of things, and I became the community liaison and project manager for Councilmember Yvette Clarke, who is now Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, still one of my clients, 20-something years later.
Wow.
But that job, which only lasted a year, when I tell you the number of people that I met, because I'm the community person. I'm the person who's dealing with everything in the office. So I'm learning who the stakeholders are, who the power players are, who the other elected officials are. So I'm building my roster. I wasn't that smart. It's not like it was strategic, but that's exactly what was happening. I just knew that as I'm meeting people, they're like, oh, da-da-da. And I was like, oh, I also cater. And then they were like, oh, you do? And then again, when you're in a network of like people that are very progressive, they want to support what you do. So I was always around those people. And it's like, as soon as they knew what I do and they knew I could do it well, they were like, oh, can you cater this? Can you cater that? And then I started being so busy, and I was like, nah, I can't do this. And then I was like, I'm going to go to law school soon. I'll take some time to study for my LSATs. I'll cater. I'll be back in this job thing. And I'm glad I made that decision at, 2004, at 23 years old. I was 22 going on 23. Because you don't have that much responsibilities. Yeah. I lived on my own, but it was just me. I could eat ramen, It's been feast or famine for years, but you could take those risks. I couldn't do that now.
No.
I like to eat at nice restaurants. But that's why I also tell people, too, take those risks early.
Yes.
Before you know the finer things in life.
No, I think what you're sharing is so important because I think nowadays for younger millennials or Gen Z, they'll be in a certain spot in life and think this has nothing to do with what they want to do long term.
Everything has something to do with everything else. I was just having this conversation with one of my staff members at Bunnan, the restaurant, the Plantain restaurant, and she was basically but she was saying like, oh, I'm thinking of taking a semester off. I was like, why? Finish school. That's always my thing to young people. Go through those 4 years. I don't care what you study. Because even if you eventually want to tie shoelaces, that education is going to make you so much better at it. I tell people that even though I'm doing food, that liberal arts degree is the best education I could have given myself. So I know we're Haitian and you want to be the doctor, the lawyer. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But you don't have to know what you want to do, but do educate yourself. Because I think some of the greatest skill sets you can have is being articulate, being able to speak, being able to communicate, being able to write. That will serve you in anything. So I wouldn't say put so much energy on the what. That will come. Just focus on pouring into yourself and learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a gem. Who needs Steve Harvey when you have Haitian success? What's poppin'? That's the theme.
So you are now transitioned to a caterer. When did you realize I'm successful? I'm a successful business owner.
I don't know what year is it. I don't think you're truly... funny enough, I just got back from Medellin, Colombia. I just came back
another flex.
But funny enough, you say that because the reason is last night when I came in, as I'm on the plane, I'm sitting there and I'm like so at ease. And I have to tell you, I remember years ago, when I'd come back from vacation, what me te kon mare?
Parce que dépasser tout ça.
Ou dépasser tout ça, gagné.
Parce que
And you
one life to live.
YOLO.
But you're coming back to so much that needs to be done, so much that's not done. Like you're still building, right? So last night, seriously, I was sitting there and I was like so at ease, so at peace. And then I left, my restaurant was still running. I still was able to do a couple of catering jobs, you know? And I wasn't there. And I think for me, I'm like, oh wow, I think I am on the road. I wouldn't say I'm Haitian success, but I
Yes,
think...
you are. Yes, you are. Don't say that. Don't say that. Yes, you are.
But it is that ability and that freedom to be able to still live, do the things that I love, which is, again, food. But I always tell people, I love food, but more so than food, I just love connecting and educating through food. It just so happened I've been able to build a business around it, but I had no plans to be a caterer, to own a restaurant, but it just, one thing just kept building. You know how sometimes they say you don't need to see the whole step? Just take the first step? And it's just, as I did things, I'm like, oh my God, the U.S. Embassy is inviting me to do a culinary diplomacy program and they're giving me $20,000. Like, I didn't even knew that was a job. You know, like the other day I did like a commercial for like on my Instagram and I was like thousands. I'm like, people pay people for these things, you know? So I say these things because I didn't know they existed. I still don't know some of the things that come my way, but I think I always step into everything I do with so much passion, intention, and you know, and those things just naturally come.
Do you ever deal with fear?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time. It's just I give it about 30 seconds and I'm like, we got to do this. I think, like, and social media has people really messed up because it is like a highlight reel, right? So we're seeing Nadeges is on the big brunch, but they didn't see Nadeges crying her heart out because she got kicked off the big brunch, right? Or they're seeing you, Nadeges is the exclusive caterer at the New York Times building, but what about all the jobs you didn't get, right?
That's true.
They didn't see the times when, you know, you were trying to do certain things and they're not happening. And nobody want to see that anyways, right? Because we want to be inspired. But I think most of the things, like right now, like I said, how I became a caterer at that venue is because by the time I got that opportunity, all those failures, basically I had learned from them. There were lessons that I was able to learn from, fix, and adjust. You know, you can't have tête due. You have to be able to be like, oh, perfect example. First started catering in college. I had a boyfriend at the time. I had this job at Teachers College. And you know, blanc. Not do 6 heures. Maybe at 5:30 moun yo la. And I'm coming in at like 5:45, you know? 5:45 with my bins, my trays. And I was so embarrassed because everybody was already there. So then I was like, oh my God, I'm not cut out for this. I'm never going to cater again. And my boyfriend at the time was like, how about you try being on time? Before you did this whole quitting thing. And I was like, wow, that is so genius. You know? But I took it as like, you have to learn. You have to fail forward, right? So if you're going to have a setback, how are you using it to be able to set yourself up for success? So I think with me, all the things that have gone wrong, and there's been plenty, it's kind of like, how do I use it as like AI to learn and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do the next time or not do. So one of the things I'm known for, even among the Haitian community, is but it came from me being a Rita, right? So like, I cater for a friend of mine, Jazz Enterprise. That's the only HMI party I'll cater for the VIP. Because he's special. Jazz, Evans Blaze, he's special.
I think I met him last night. I think I met some of the,
Yeah, very nice guy. One of the best human beings. And he's my twin. We have the same birthday. But he tells me all the time, it's like, Avem is like chef aimé. Like, he doesn't need to know what time I'm getting there. Because if an event starts at 10, yes, I know the majority of people get there at 12, but I'm still going to get there at 8, even though I'm not serving till 12, because m'papa l'entrée sous moun avec ou paquet manger. So to the extent that I know your first guests arrive at 10, I'm in there at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Yes, I will pay my staff. And this is also too why I'm serious about, like, more than ever about the fees that I charge.
Yeah.
Like, about charging people, because moun pap jam di ke you pas payer Nadege, this is why she gave. I've learned that lesson the hard way, because the person, you don't charge a lot, or you give somebody a discount because you're trying to hook them up, but you're also not able to give the quality of service you want to give.
That's true. Right.
So now I'm like, you know what? Pito nou chita, m'toazeta la avance, nou chita, m'aptan, but at least you're at ease, you know? Because I do a lot of corporate events. With corporate, Goût Manger is like the 10th thing on their thing. So imagine when you have like your punctuality is on point, your professionalism is on point. You respond to emails. Like, you know how many times people's like, well, I wrote this person, they didn't respond. I've missed some emails, and I understand that's going to cost me a job. Not only it costs you that job with that person, every time you make a mistake, it costs you that person and other people. More than ever, I'm realizing it owning a restaurant, because that's everyday possibilities, right? And I'm not always there. So mistakes happen. Somebody working is in a bad mood, yo kite gri yo aboule, yo servi moun nan gri yo ki tro sec.
Right.
But how you handle that is also important, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, now that I'm a restaurant owner, I tell people that, like, I think it's important. We do have some grace for business owners.
Yes.
No, and it comes both ways, right? Like, you have to, as a business owner, you have to be like, oh wow, we messed up. Like, that's not good.
So I'm gonna bring up a topic, because when we interviewed Sejo, he brought up how Haitian people treat their things. He brought up that we tend to be a little bit comfortable with mediocrity. And he brought up Haitian restaurants as an example.
I mean, it's a real topic. Like I said, we just did our 20th anniversary gala.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you for our
another flex.
Another round of applause.
Which we hosted in Times Square.
Hey, big flex.
But the biggest compliment I got was somebody who called, who's been attending our events for years. And they're like, Nadege, the one thing I can say about you is, like, you always outdo yourself. Like, whatever you did yesterday, and it was great, we were happy, but yet you're like, oh no, you got to do this, you got to add that. So I do think sometimes us as business owners, and I won't say Haitian, I think some business owners, but since I'm part of the Haitian, we'll say Haitians, I do think that can be a syndrome we suffer from. Like, we're good, like we just stay stagnant. Like, let's change the awning just because it would be nice to do. Let's change the plating. Like, I'm always thinking, on vacation and I see somebody posted, like, they were at Bunnan and they posted red snapper. Like, we always have these little labels that we put on the thing. And then I saw the snapper was misspelled. I wrote everybody. Like, it was like 3 a.m. Like, I just had a heart attack. Like, why is it saying red apper and napper? Like, I didn't understand. But it just panics me. Like, whenever I make a mistake, it really hurts me to my core. So when someone comes to my restaurant and they said, hey, Nadege, I didn't have a good experience. And that does happen. And this is why. I appreciate it. But it tellement fait mal. I'm working on, like, how do I make sure that, what systems can I put in place that no matter who's working, you know, that experience is always the same. Hence, one of the reasons we haven't opened up more locations. Everybody's been like, oh my God, Bunnan is the rage. You should open up more. We want one in Florida. But I'm like, I can't do that.
We do want one in Florida.
You see? But for me, it's kind of like, yes, I can always get somebody's money quick one time. But I want to keep getting your money multiple times because you're so happy. You're telling the world. Because as big as social media is, it's just a bigger version of word of mouth.
That's true.
Right? So you want to utilize it for the good, not just because the bad can spread just as quickly. So I do think Haitian restaurants sometimes, it's a matter of us just kind of like, and it's that commitment to excellence. Like, I have to commit to grow and be better. Like, not can be like, oh, madam, so Mes amis.
You think it's more so people are just in a survival mode and not excellent mode?
Yeah. I definitely agree because we come from that culture, right? Like if you go in Haiti, and like I said, I've traveled Haiti, I've written, a cookbook, which is coming out again. Oh my God.
What's the name of the cookbook, please?
Hey, listen. Haitian Success, we just get the exclusive.
What's the name of the cookbook?
Haiti Uncovered, a regional adventure into the art of Haitian cuisine, which is probably my life's greatest accomplishment, which again, I didn't know. At the time, it was just like, I saw a need. Like, I was just like, oh.
And it was 2009?
2013.
Turn that, okay.
So I was like, let no tout fin mourir, our parents are not around, like, how are we passing? Because again, social media wasn't as big. And I was like, how are we canonizing these recipes, the history, the culture? And then, like I always said, food is always how I want to educate people. It's my sneaky little method. So I was like, I don't want to just write a cookbook. I want to write a travel cookbook so I could humanize Haiti. Because people are like, why do you need to travel to Haiti? There's so many Haitian aunties and moms right here in New York. Just ask them what they make and how they make it. But I was like, no, I wanted to tell Haiti's story through the food.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted you to know, why do we wash our meat so much? Again, I don't have a specific scientific answer, but from my own perspective, I'm like, we don't have an FDA. Like, when you're buying food on the streets by flies all over, chien ap jambe, viande.
Wherever the pussy is.
So we're extra careful about cleanliness for those very reasons, right? Electricity is sporadic, right? So we don't, même si on frigidaire, bacteria may build up because the fridge goes in and out. So just for you to be able to see, but also be able to see, like, who cooks? When do they cook this dish? Why do they cook this dish? What meaning does it have for us? And people love that book. Like, I literally have like a waiting list of like 1,000 people. It's like, Nadeges, this book has been out of print for like a year and a half. Like, I need the book. So I'm working on it. You'll have the second edition back for the holidays. That's the first time I've announced that, actually.
Well, Nadege, for our listeners, especially our women that are listening, what advice would you give them? Especially our Haitian women that are like stuck in the stereotype, the perfect daughter stereotype.
Stop it. Stop it. Like, going against. Because again, it took me a long time to be. That's why when you asked me, when did I know I was going to pursue catering, I didn't, because I was stuck as well. Because you don't want to disappoint your parents, right? And they guilt us. Like, I've sacrificed so much for you. I had to tell my dad, but I got scholarships to college. Like, but so you do feel obligated. But I also understand now, it's not so much they're stuck on this, you need to be a nurse, you need to be a doctor. They just come from a place where those are the people that are thriving, that are successful. So that's what they associate success with. So you have to show them other. But I'm also that person, like, I cut all bridges. Like, I was like, I'm not going back. Help. So I also feel like if you are going to go against your parents' wishes, like, you can't be in their basement, be like, can I live with you while I build this, Again, maybe you have the parents that will support you, but I wasn't. So I just tell people, like, go for it. Dedicate the energy to learning, because, again, everything's out there now. Like, I'm an avid reader. I read, I listen to podcasts, I listen to YouTube, like YouTube University. I've learned so much. The other day, I learned how to maximize, like, what did I learn? Like, maximize some points on my Amex Platinum card. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know this. I've had this crap for what? No, but it's like the information is out there.
Pouring out. The success is pouring out.
Oh, shit. I didn't mean it in that sense.
No, we love it. We love it. You gotta mean it in that sense. We love it.
But I just said that because I was like, like, and then you have something as simple as YouTube that can teach you a lot of it. So just listen, learn, and grow, and go for it. Don't listen. I mean, listen to people. And then also, too, it's okay. That's the other thing about entrepreneurship, right? We live in an age where everybody thinks they need to be an entrepreneur. And quite frankly, no, it doesn't have to be. It's okay to like your job.
Yep.
Like, if I had a job that would pay me like a nice 300 G's, I would do it and side hustle. So you could also have side hustles. Our parents did it. That's the other thing they didn't teach us, right? Our parents had all these side hustles. You have to have a minimum wage job, but you have one jipon, you have a mechanic shop. Like, they were very entrepreneurial, but they never told us how they did it. So I think now you have to teach yourself, like, hey, maybe I can balance. I can do both. That's something I suggest to a lot of people that come to me. It's like, oh, I want to start this company. I was like, if you can't do your job and your side hustle, you can't be an entrepreneur.
Wow.
Because you know
That's
why?
good.
I think it's really like a realization I had the other day. I'm like, if you can't do your job and your side hustle, you can't be an entrepreneur. Because entrepreneurship requires such commitment. It's commitment that no one's giving you the blueprint for. You have to be like, oh, I'm waking myself up at 5 a.m. I'm doing this. I gotta send these sales proposals. I gotta build up my social media. I gotta go learn how to freaking do like a sales funnel. I gotta learn about landing. I mean, entrepreneurship showed me how to do all these things early on. I'm moving to the stage of my business where I'm trying not to be the jack of all trades because I don't have to. I have more support. So I can start hiring the specialists. But initially, because you have to do all those things, it requires time. So when you can do your 9 to 5 and still be able to go home 6 to 10, dedicate the time, then you know you're ready.
Absolutely.
It doesn't get better than that. Nadege, listen. Like Gigi said, we could talk to you all day. Thank you guys for listening. First-time listeners, thank you. Zummers, thank you. And this was episode 38.
Yes.
38.
Right, and I'm Mark the Dreamer.
I'm Gigi the Realist.
And we had Nadege Fleurimond on the pod. So appreciate you. Thank you. See you on the next episode.
Bye. Hey, this is Gigi.
And it's your girl Leona, and you are listening to the Haitian Millennial Podcast.
Tena waiteni paparazi warushe kwa mitandao.